Welcome to Royal Secret. It was a royal decision that shook the very foundation of Denmark's modern monarchy. A mother's decree stripped her grandsons of their birthright. A nation gasped, and the world watched as Count Nikolai and Count Felix, once princes of Denmark, were cast adrift from the House of Glucksburg. But now, something extraordinary has happened. The outcasts have returned. This is not a story about fairy tales and crowns. This is a story about power, identity, and family. A deeply personal, public unraveling between Denmark's beloved Queen Margrethe II and her eldest son, Prince Joachim. And at the heart of it all, two young men, Count Nikolai and Count Felix, who were born into a palace and then told they no longer belonged. But in a stunning twist, the once disinherited grandsons have made a dramatic return to the royal fold, just months after the shocking decision that removed their titles. What caused this unexpected reunion? And what does it mean for the future of the Danish monarchy? Let's move into the explosive royal fallout, the bitter family divisions, and now, the jaw-dropping return of Denmark's most glamorous young royals. In September 2022, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, Europe's longest reigning monarch at the time, made a decision that sent shockwaves not just through Denmark but across all of Europe's royal houses. With the stroke of a pen, she stripped the royal titles from the children of her youngest son, Prince Joachim. Count Nikolai, Count Felix, Count Henrik, and Countess Athena, previously princes and princess, were now, legally and officially, simply Counts and Countess of Montpezat. Their status as Her Highness was gone. Forever. The Queen stated that the move was to allow her grandchildren to live more normal lives, without the obligations and restrictions that come with royal titles. But the backlash was immediate and fierce. Joachim was blindsided, so were the boys. Speaking to the press just days after the announcement, a clearly emotional Prince Joachim didn't hold back. He revealed that he and his children were given barely any notice before the titles were taken away. "We are all very sad," he said. "It's never fun to see your children being mistreated like that." His wife, Princess Marie, added that their youngest, Countess Athena, was being bullied at school because of the sudden change in status. The entire family was in shock, and the nation was divided. Public opinion polls showed a deeply split Denmark. Some applauded the Queen's modernization efforts. Others believed she had overstepped, sacrificing her grandchildren for palace politics. Count Nikolai. "I was just confused." Perhaps the most high-profile of the Queen's disinherited grandchildren is Count Nikolai. A successful model who walked for Dior and Vogue, Nikolai was always the one most in the public eye. Speaking after the title was stripped, he admitted he didn't understand the move. "It's a strange feeling," he said. "We are sad and confused. We didn't ask for this." Nikolai's popularity soared. Images of the young count in high-fashion campaigns were splashed across European magazines. He was the poster boy for a modern royal life, glamorous, cosmopolitan, and seemingly effortless. But underneath the surface, the pain of rejection was evident. Felix, too, kept a low profile but let it be known that he missed being called Prince. The brothers had spent years fulfilling ceremonial roles, making appearances at state events and royal birthdays. And now, that was all gone. The Queen holds her ground. Despite the backlash, Queen Margrethe held firm. She issued a rare second statement, expressing regret that the decision had hurt her family, but reiterated that it was necessary for the future of the monarchy. "My decision has been a long time coming," she wrote. "I have made it as a mother, grandmother, and monarch." Still, the damage was done. Royal watchers noticed Joachim and his family spending more and more time outside Denmark. Rumors of a permanent relocation to Paris, where Joachim was serving as a military attaché, soon became reality. The rift seemed permanent, until now. The unexpected reunion. In the spring of 2025, photos began surfacing. First, blurry long-lens shots from Copenhagen. Then official portraits from Amalienborg Palace. And finally, confirmation from the Danish royal house. Their Majesties King Frederik X and Queen Mary welcomed Count Nikolai and Count Felix to Fredensborg for a private family event this past weekend. The reunion marked the first public engagement between the counts and the royal family since the title change in 2022. It was the news royal watchers had been waiting for. The prodigal sons, no longer princes but still beloved, were back. But why now? A royal softening or strategic optics? Insiders suggest that King Frederik and Queen Mary are eager to present a unified royal family during their first full year as monarchs. With Queen Margrethe's abdication still fresh in public memory, the pressure to appear strong and modern is intense. Reuniting with Nikolai and Felix is more than symbolic, says Danish royal historian Jørgen Mahler. It's about healing, it's about continuity, and frankly, it's about public relations. Queen Mary, in particular, is said to have pushed for the reunion. Known for her charm, diplomacy, and deep understanding of public sentiment, Mary has often been credited with humanizing the monarchy. Bringing the disinherited counts back into the fold, at least in appearance, signals a softer, more compassionate royal family under her and King Frederik's reign. The public reaction, "Let the boys come home," the Danish press has been mostly positive in covering the reunion. Tabloids called it the Great Return. Social media exploded with messages of support. They were born royal and always will be. So proud of Nikolai and Felix for rising above the drama. Queen Mary is doing what Queen Margrethe should have done. There's even speculation that the brothers may take on informal royal duties again, especially in youth-oriented or fashion-related campaigns. One thing is clear: Denmark missed them. And they, despite everything, may have missed Denmark. Count Felix. The quiet return. While Nikolai is often the headline, Count Felix is the heart of the story. The more reserved of the two brothers, Felix has kept largely out of the spotlight. But those who know him describe a deeply loyal, thoughtful young man who took the title loss personally. Friends say that Felix, now studying economics and working in finance, never stopped hoping for a return to the family circle. And when he finally walked through the palace gates again, it was an emotional moment for everyone. What's next? Will the brothers begin attending royal events? Could the title decision be reversed in the future? Will King Frederik find a way to bring his nephews back into the royal mix without reigniting old wounds? We'll explore those questions, and the shocking family dynamics behind the scenes. But one thing is certain: the return of Count Nikolai and Count Felix is more than just a family gathering. It's a royal reckoning. The palace reunion may have seemed peaceful on the surface, but behind the smiles and photo ops lies a deeper royal strategy. Is this truly about family? Or is it a carefully crafted move to save face after years of tension, hurt, and humiliation? Royal blood, broken bonds. To understand the gravity of this reunion, we must go back to the very beginning, the moment Prince Joachim, the younger son of Queen Margrethe, began carving his own path away from the royal machine. Joachim was always seen as the spare in the royal equation. His older brother, now King Frederik X, was born to rule. But Joachim, he was the wild card. Educated in France and heavily influenced by international culture, he long favored a more liberal, open royal style, much like his children. His sons, Nikolai and Felix, grew up straddling two worlds: the rigid, traditional one demanded by Danish royal protocol and the modern, global culture their father embraced. When Queen Margrethe stripped them of their titles, it wasn't just about monarchy, it was about punishing a son who'd walked too far from the throne. Queen Mary's calculated compassion. Now, as Denmark's new queen consort, Mary Donaldson of Tasmania, now Queen Mary, has become the key figure in orchestrating what some are calling the royal reset. Royal insiders close to the palace say that it was Queen Mary who reached out to Count Nikolai and Count Felix personally in early 2025. She made the first move, says a palace source. Not for a photo, not for politics, for family. Mary knew the boys had been hurt, and she didn't want that to define their relationship moving forward. That gesture mattered, and it seems to have worked. The brothers, though still publicly referred to as counts, were seen this past Easter attending a private lunch at Amalienborg Palace, alongside King Frederik, Queen Mary, and their children. The moment was not captured by photographers, but leaked by palace sources who wanted the story out. Not only had the boys returned, they had been welcomed. Princess Isabella's role in the reunion. Surprisingly, one of the most influential figures behind the scenes may be someone the world hasn't watched closely: Princess Isabella, the teenage daughter of Frederik and Mary. At just 18, Isabella is blossoming into a central public figure in the royal family. Known for her independent streak and her candid nature, Isabella is said to have reached out to her older cousins personally to encourage their involvement in royal events. She's always looked up to Nikolai, one royal family friend revealed. They were close as children, and she hated the idea of them being cut off. Isabella told her parents that family should be family, even if the titles are gone. Isabella's voice, young, strong, and emotionally attuned, reportedly carried weight with Queen Mary. After all, what better symbol of a modern monarchy than a united next generation? The title that still haunts. Yet for all the smiles and symbolic gestures, the fact remains, the titles have not been restored. This is where the divide remains raw. Even as Nikolai and Felix appear at royal properties again, even as they sit at the dinner table alongside their royal cousins, they are still, by law and protocol, not considered HRHs. They are private citizens, albeit with noble rank. And that hurts. Insiders confirm that Prince Joachim has still not fully forgiven his mother for the public way in which the titles were removed. Though diplomatic smiles were exchanged at Queen Margrethe's abdication ceremony, sources say the emotional distance remains. He shows up for duty, one source says of Joachim. But the trust, that's gone. The scars from what happened to his boys are still fresh. Some in Denmark wonder, should King Frederik overturn the decision? Legally, he could, but doing so might cause deeper divisions in the family, and be seen as undermining his mother's final royal act. For now, the boys remain counts. But they are counts with cameras following them, tabloids praising them, and a generation of Danes who believe they were wronged. The public wants more. In the months following the reunion, the Danish media saw a spike in coverage of Count Nikolai and Count Felix. Fashion magazines featured them in spreads again. Social media influencers praised their poise and style. Opinion polls suggested that over 62% of Danes now believe the title removal was a mistake. Even more surprising, a growing number of royalists want to see Nikolai and Felix return to official roles. They are young, they are relatable, they represent a new generation of royalty, says Danish sociologist Helle Thorving. And in an era where monarchies across Europe are shrinking, maybe Denmark needs them more than ever. Could this be the future? A smaller royal family? Yes, but one where the counts still play a part. An unofficial royal ambassadorial role. A charity leadership role. Even a fashion-forward face of the modern monarchy. The modern monarchy, Scandinavian style. There's precedent for this. Sweden's royal family has adjusted its size without losing its humanity. The children of Prince Carl Philip and Princess Madeleine were removed from the royal house but remain visible and involved. Norway's royal family, too, has taken a softer approach to modernization, ensuring no member feels erased. Denmark's monarchy is famously lean, but also famously proud. Could Queen Mary be using this moment to suggest that modernizing doesn't have to mean erasing? Time will tell. A shift in royal power. But what can't be ignored is the changing tone inside the palace itself. Queen Mary is no longer simply the stylish Australian-turned-royal consort. She is now a mother of future monarchs, a queen in her own right, and a symbol of how this family might endure beyond the 21st century. Mary's influence cannot be overstated, says European royal biographer Annelies Jensen. She is crafting a monarchy that knows how to adapt, and bringing the boys back, even unofficially, is a masterstroke in optics and emotion. It's also smart politics. Because if Nikolai and Felix are back, even informally, it sends a message: this family can heal. This monarchy can bend, and this generation is watching. Prince Christian's silent endorsement. One notable absence from all public commentary is Prince Christian, the heir to the Danish throne and son of Frederik and Mary. Now 19, Christian is stepping into his role with caution, charisma, and confidence. And while he has said nothing directly about the return of his cousins, insiders say he's been supportive privately. He and Nikolai were once close. They still share a quiet bond, and some believe Christian may even be in favor of finding a way to include them in his future plans as king. If true, the return of Nikolai and Felix may not just be a personal family moment. It may be part of a long-term transition toward a more flexible monarchy led by the next generation. A media frenzy, and a cautious palace. Despite the joyful headlines and photo spreads, palace officials remain cautious. There is no official comment yet about whether the Counts will be involved in upcoming royal ceremonies, such as the Queen's birthday gala or Prince Christian's first international tour. But the door is open. And that in itself is historic. Thanks for watching.